Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are talking to you guys about Ready to Love. We're using the UK Force. We are talking about episode 5. It was quite the interesting episode. There was a lot that happened. We saw Laverne get kicked to the curb. Precious wanted to give him a little 1-2-1-2. We saw also as well Tory talking Sabrina. We're not sure if Sabrina's playing a game or whether she was being truthful or whether she was just whether she's allowed to to nibble on the person's ear and someone else shouldn't feel no way. Should Tory have been allowed to get emotional about the situation? I don't know. We're gonna have to answer these questions today. We also saw Demetrius kind of also rising up in the ranks with Sabrina. Well, we haven't actually seen much as to how he got there, so he must be doing some background talking. So that's also interesting to see as well. And unfortunately, we saw AP and Wiley also leave the show. AP first, and then Wiley a little bit later on. And we'll discuss as well maybe the reasons why the cast members decided to send those two people home. And then P.O. Box had the resurrection of a lifetime. That sounds really wrong, resurrection, the way I said it. But he said he changed, okay? There's something about him. He's relaxed, he's cool, he's calm, collected. And he's collected also Tina seemingly as well. I mean, she literally did a Destiny's Child movement with the hands running down the chest. I thought it was catered to you for a second, and during a game of Truth and Dare. So we're going to talk a little bit about this episode, but I'm joined by some fabulous people. I'm joined by Charlene, Miss Lush, and JR. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as always and let you know where you can find them and follow them. Charlene, you're on top of my screen, so I'm going to let you go first.
Hi guys, so I'm Charlene, the Vocal Alchemist. You can find me on Instagram mainly, but you can also search for my YouTube channel right here.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much, Charlene. Miss Lish.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm Miss Lash. You can find me on Instagram at Miss Lash. Holla at your girl.
Beautiful stuff. And JR, let them know who you are, baby.
Everyone. I'm JRX TV. You can find me on Instagram at JRX TV and also at Real VIP Training.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much, yeah. Audience members, do me a massive favor before we start the conversation. Just drop a like on this particular video and then leave a comment as well in the chat as well. If you're available and you're around and you're alive, leave a comment in the chat. Let us know that you're here and you're ready for the conversation as well. Remember as well, your comments will be used as well against you. I mean that in a positive way. We'll bring onto the screen. That's what I really mean. And we'll talk about it. So if you've got some really great comments, leave it in the chat. Hopefully we'll be able to bring up your comments as well. And if it's a question, we can ask our panel members as well. All right. Without much further ado, let's jump straight into the conversation. Let's talk about P.O. because P.O. is the man of the hour. P.O. has turned it around, and so I want to get you guys and ladies' thoughts on how P.O. has done that, and how the cast members have been reacting to P.O. in this episode. So, Miss Lush, talk to me, man. P.O., your favorite guy. That's why I came to you first, because it's your favorite guy.
Oh, P.O. I don't know, you was holding on to this new version of you, or maybe this was the original version of you. I don't know, but you were getting the people hot. Everybody were putting you in like their top. I was just confused when every girl, well, not every girl, the majority of the women in the missions was saying your name. I said, oh, what? You turned it around. Like, how do you just turned it around? I don't know how. But even I felt like, you know what, you made me smile. His date with, was it Precious? His date, Precious, right? His date with Precious. Like, even though it was very heated, like, he was very like, whoa, okay, I've never seen you talk, like, getting dirty and feeding pickles and saying I was like, okay. But their interaction did make me smile. So I was thinking, wait, before you were making me, I was screwing you. I was giving you the chicken head and everything. But now I'm all on the screen smiling, thinking, wow, I thought you had a slow death. You was going 6 foot under and you resurrected. You just came out. I don't know what you did, but you did something. But I enjoyed him this episode. I did. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed him this episode. He seemed more relaxed. He wasn't tense and he wasn't combating with people. He wasn't on defensive mode. He wasn't doing too much. It felt like someone else took that burden. Someone took that burden and became the next. I don't know. PO must have delivered his stuff to somebody else, because that burden's lifted. He's light. So I don't know.
I hear you. As they say, cream rises to the top. So, I guess eventually he managed to rise to the top. Okay. Charlene, what's your thoughts on PO's turnaround?
PO has stopped interviewing people. He stopped with the interviews. And so he's relaxed. And I feel like it was the near elimination that helped him to relax. So remember when he was talking with Precious, and he was almost one to get cut from the show. But I'm loving this version of Paul. Like I said, he's so much more relaxed. He's so much more sure of himself. And I'm also loving that the new people that have come in have given him more options, more choices. And I love, like, his date with Carmen. There's little things that he said, whereby, she's beautiful and her body's banging, but he didn't want to objectify her. He's just very aware of women and how to behave. And I'm enjoying him a lot.
Good points. I appreciate it. JR, what's your thoughts on I was going to sort of call him Big Daddy Pimp, but what's your thoughts on PO?
I think the turning point was losing the connection that he wanted with Sabrina. I think when she sat down and broke down how she made him come across, how she made him feel, how he made her feel, I think he really took that on board. He did say he was going to make some changes and act accordingly. And I think that's what we're seeing playing out now. I think he's taking a different approach. He's not interrogating and asking closed questions like he was at the start. And I think he got the message that wasn't working for him and it wasn't resonating well with the ladies. So he's fixed up, and he's a lot more calmer. Seems to have a lot more conversation going, a bit of flirtation here and there. So yeah, definitely think he's done a good job in putting himself back in the running.
Beautiful points. I'll ask another question for you guys around PO then. PO obviously had a conversation with Carmen, and that conversation got a little bit pickly. You know what I mean? So, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that conversation with Carmen, because, she seemed much more different in this case. It felt a little bit more girly from Carmen. She wasn't as, I wouldn't say not girly, but less assertive, I want to say, because in previous cases where we've seen with her, she's been on the approach, on the attack, but it seemed a little bit more softer from her this time, a little bit more, calmer from her, So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts in terms of PO and Carmen's kind of conversation. Did you notice anything? Did you see anything from them too as well? I'll let JR go first, since you were the last one that spoke, bro.
I think Carmen was very receptive to PO's change and shift in direction and his delivery. She was able to be playful with him, but at the same time, kept it flirtatious but fun. He didn't say anything to drop any banana skins and mess the day up, which is a bonus. And she didn't come across as, like she had a problem with anything that he said. I think she was very receptive due to the fact that she was actually curious about wanting to date him. She'd probably indicated, I think, that she'd heard a lot about him and she was looking forward to sitting down on a date. And yeah, for the most part, I think the energy he brought is the style of dating that she actually prefers. You know, he kind of spoke more her language in terms of dating style.
I like that point. Okay, Joe. I hear you. I hear you. Mr. Lush, what was your thoughts then on P.O. and Carmen? You know, like, she seemed a little bit different. She seemed different in this particular case. Was that P.O.'s fault, or was
Yeah.
that just Carmen just changing?
I think definitely with Pio, his approach was different, and she's probably heard so much about him. So, and even when she tried to like speak to him before and like how he's come across, it could be quite like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to mess with this guy. He's on a long team. But it, the way he just gave, like, made her feel comfortable, made her feel relaxed, made her feel playful, made her feel like a woman, made her feel beautiful, made her feel sexy. So all those things come into play when you're starting to feel these things, and a guy is making you feel like, oh, then you're able to be a bit more relaxed. You don't have much of a defense of like, well, I don't know about you. You feel a bit more open to be a bit more vulnerable. So I feel like she just was, responding to how he was like, just his overall demeanor, approach, how he flirted little bits. It wasn't too forceful, but at the same time, he's letting her know that I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Do you want a bit of this? I'm here. Like, she enjoyed it. I can see in her face. She was probably thinking, ooh, what? But then she gave it back. It's not like she shied away from it. Everything that he was giving, she was giving it right back. So they will go. It was nice. It was like not one person was overpowering the other. It was very equal, the back and forth. And then she probably felt like, oh, okay, I've met my match. Like, okay, I like where this is going. So I enjoyed, like I said, it made me smile. Even that bits, I was like, oh, really? I was like, okay, you want to be Big Daddy Paul, Sugar Daddy Paul. I don't know what daddy you wanted to be, but he was giving some. And when the guy stares at you and he's giving you the eye, or they will want to call it the wily eye, he's giving certain eyes just looking at. I was like, okay, this is not the Paul, the PO box, the police officer, the investigator that we have had. So I was like, all right, okay. I was enjoying it.
Okay, I'm hearing you, Miss Lassie. Yep, I hear that. I hear that. More masculine energy from Paul, eh? Charlene, what's your thoughts on the pickle gate with Paul and Carmen? What was kind of going on there?
It's just playful, isn't it? And it's just, do you want my pickle? Yes, I do. It's just play. It's just play. It's bants. It's. And do you know what I loved? Even before the date even started, I loved what she was wearing. And if you listen to, like, I think she was doing a voiceover of herself as she was walking into the place. And I think she was talking about, you know, deliberately choosing that outfit to represent a certain thing. And I loved how soft she was. She's so feminine, and I think she looked absolutely gorgeous. And they're playing, they're dancing together. Little courtship, little dating vibes. It's really, really beautiful to watch.
I hear that too. I hear that. I mean, they vibe quite nicely, and it was a nice to see. I think, especially from Paul's side, that he could flow, and it was an uninterrupted flow between himself and Carmen. Do you know what I mean? Much different to how he got with Tiffany, conversation that we saw weeks earlier as well. That was a much more junky, a little bit much more junky kind of conversation where it clunky actually even saying it didn't go very well as well. So. Someone made a good point. I wonder what you guys thoughts are. Someone said he didn't want to objectify her, then he does the pickle thing. What's your thoughts on that, real quick, Charlie? What are you saying?
I see you, Crystal. let me just say this, yeah. I'm trying to think, like, would I feel objectified? Listen, I would only feel objectified if I didn't want the brother's pickle.
I understand.
If I want the brother's pickle, then it's just playful and
I
it's
hear you saying.
bad. You understand? So context is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think in this context, I don't think she felt objectified, and I don't think it was his intention to objectify.
If I,
I think that he's testing the grounds, yeah? You know, when you poke, you're like, ooh, can I poke you? Oh, I can. Can I, what about here? I think that's what he's doing, and I enjoy watching him just kind of testing the waters to see, just seeing. It's just playful, but it wouldn't be playful if she didn't like it.
that's true. Actually, she does say in a cutscene that she was no. I think she said it to Tommy. She did say that she was surprised that he had the sexual energy because he didn't. She didn't think he had it in him.
Right,
So
right.
it clearly, obviously, was a side that she never thought she would get from Paul, and maybe other women haven't really got that side from Paul either. And so it was kind of nice to kind of see that. So it worked out. That move that he played, it worked out for him. Okay, it worked out for him. Okay, cool. We'll leave Paul for a little second or two. We'll come on to someone else now. Wiley unfortunately got the boot. He got the boot. The Kia was sent to deliver the message to Wiley to say his time is up on the show. I want to kind of get you ladies' thoughts on that because just before he got sent home, we saw him on a date with Joy. Who else was there? Clifton and Demetrius and Precious. And he had a conversation with Joy as well. And yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting conversation he had with Joy in that moment as well. So I want to kind of get your thoughts on that as well as him getting the boot. So, Charlene, I know you went last, so I'm going to let you go first. What was your kind of thoughts on Wiley and him getting the boot and his conversation with Joy?
I think it's unfortunate with Wiley because I don't know if the producers thought it through in regards to who could potentially be a match for him. And I've said this before on this panel, right? That age does matter, and it does matter. I think that women find it easier to give their trust and respect to somebody who's older. This is my personal opinion, and I think that's the way I move as well. I have a lot of love and respect for men, but there's something about a man being older and wiser than me that I find easier to submit to even. So I don't think that he got like a fair crack of the whip, if you like, in regards to who was available for him to, really select from. But I think that where his immaturity shows is in the conversation that he had with Joy. So Joy was talking to him and saying, while he was saying, I'm interested in you or something like that, I want to pursue you or something like that. And Joy did this with her hand. She was like, bruvs, like, are you going to come for me or not? And I think that there's something about wanting a man who is really intentional and does what he wants to do with no fear when it comes to you as a woman. And wanting the man to just be like, you know what, it's you. I want to take you on a date. I'm interested in you. And I think that's where, some of his immaturity may be showing. But I think he's a great guy. I just don't think that there was anybody there for him on the show. And then on top of it, Christina, she was selected with him in mind, and she likes older guys. I don't know. I think that he's going to find love, but it was just unfortunate that he didn't find it on the show.
I hear that. Yep. I do think that acing is a big thing as well, and I think you're right there, Charlie. I think it's very hard for him to, because it's quite a 5 years on some of them, almost 10 for some. It's quite a few years gap between himself and the ladies, and even the lady that was 31 had a child too, and I think she was looking elsewhere as well. So it's unfortunate for him that he is the youngest, it doesn't work the same way usually as when it does with a young lady. Like for instance, when we have a woman that's younger, it's different than it is for the man that is seemingly younger as well. So yeah, definitely hear you on that one. Mr. Lush, what was your thoughts on Wiley and him getting the boot? Was it the right decision?
Like, I really feel bad because he just got the wrong end of the stick. Because one of the age, but I feel like his confidence got knocked because every minute they would have to bring up the age, even if it was by banter or something, or in front of everybody. Every time they gathered around or on a table, dinner table, whatever they're doing, they're always bringing up something about his age, and you can see it that it frustrates him. He's just like, he even said it in one of his like confessionals that like she's not a little boy kind of thing. He was letting them know it's like he don't understand why people keep coming for his age because he's not a small boy and he says he's very mature for his age. I think that has knocked him. So maybe how he plays it like off screen or when he's in that dating world, it might be different. He might be a bit more confident. That's why Joe's is like, come on, like us women, we want a guy who's intentional, who is going to lead. Like you're supposed to be leading the household. We want to know that you can make that decision. Like if you want me, you come in for me. Like it's direct. There's no wishy-washy. There's no lukewarmness about it. So when she's just like, why do you like what you gonna do? He's just like you put a little flat like, well, you look good, or he'll say something and then that's it. But I feel like he's scared to even go there because probably in his head, everyone thinks I'm a little boy. Everyone keeps talking about my age. It's like that little nagging voice at the back of his head, whispering in his ear. It's like every time he wants to take that step, is the voice like, well, she thinks you're young, she thinks you're immature, she thinks you're not good enough. It's all these things that it's going to go round and round and round. So it's going to knock his confidence if you're constantly getting told that you're young and this and that. And we get brother vibes, my little brother. Like it's gonna, his mind is not going to be right. So of course he's not going to be able to give it as he could because his confidence was knocked. I felt like his confidence was knocked. And every time he did try or he felt like, oh, maybe I got there, then seeing, what's her name, the new girl, Rob on Paul, it's like, go to the guy you most like or got most of a connection with. I could see in his face that he probably thought it could have been him. And then when he saw her do that, he's just like, raw, like even someone who's close to my age ain't checking for man. So it's gonna put his mindset in a weird space. So I just felt bad for him. I felt like he shouldn't, I don't know, I felt like he shouldn't have gone home. I would have preferred Laverne to go home, but I don't know. The age thing, and even girls our age or in the 30s are looking for guys older anyway. So I don't know. I don't think he got a fair shot, to be honest. And that knocked his confidence. So he acted the way he acted because he's feeling like, you know, when guys have been rejected, they feel away. Like most guys don't even approach girls nowadays like they did back in the days because the fear of rejection and being embarrassed. So all of that plays. So he can't even approach or go to someone with vim, much confidence because his confidence has been knocked. He doesn't have it.
I hear you on that. Confidence is not easy to keep up when they keep bringing up your age. So yeah, I definitely hear that. JR, let me ask you and get you involved with the Wiley stuff as well. Do you think, well, actually slightly different, do you think his age played a factor into it? Or is it more as well, not just age, but maybe as well, his actual demeanor? You know what I mean? Maybe did he come across maybe not as mature as his cohorts, maybe? Or what do you kind of think about Wiley in this situation?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think both of those come into play with Wiley. I agree with Lush. His confidence would have been shot because, I mean, every single episode, if he hasn't been brother zoned, then it seems like he's being sunned. You know, like he's really been put in that box of, man, this guy's too young. And not only are the women on the show a few years older than him, but their mindset as Charlene described, and Lash. Like, they're very intentional on the type of guy that they want to date. And even though he may be a mature early 30s by his standard, that doesn't equate to being a mature 30-something by their standard. And it's really what they're looking for that determines whether he stays on the show. With regards to Tina, yeah, same age, but different stage in life. You know, having a child, having that responsibility, then she's going to prioritize looking for a stepfather, father figure, something serious and probably more mature than him too. So she wasn't really attracted to him, as we said on last week as well. So I don't think he was given a fair shake. He was always punching uphill, fighting an uphill battle. I still think he did quite well to make the links that he did. He vibed with Joy. He vibed with Dakia. He vibed with Ace. Like, none of them had a bad word to say about him. So he wasn't immature where he was doing anything like crazy, disrespectful or anything like that. It was just, yeah, like the stage of life that the women on the show are at, he didn't kind of align with what they're looking for. And I also think with Joy, you know, she did do the hand gesture thing. She was trying to say, look, what are you waiting for? The time is now. Like, you need to make your moves now, because if you don't, then you're going to be going home. And she probably didn't want to see him going home. That's why she gave him the pep talk, the motivational talk on the apparatus that they were on. Yeah. So, yeah, I think even though he said, you know, I'm going to step it up in this, that, the other, I think he didn't have enough time to put that into practice either. So, yeah. Shame he had to go, but there wasn't anybody there for him to keep him in. Not even his connection with Ace either. So, yeah.
Definitely hear that as well. Yeah, I think unfortunately, his age did play a part in it. I think majorly. I think age builds an instant perception of who he is. You know, age will build up a perception in people's eyes in terms of they'll look at every action now with a bit more intensity because they're a little bit older than him. So like even him, if he's joking around, it'll look like he's a clown. Even though, bruv, that's his normal age and around normal his people's age, no one's going to look at it differently. But solely because of your age, it can be looked upon even more just because you're of a younger age. You know what I'm saying? I think for me, I was watching his disposition. I think what I didn't hear from Wiley, and it may be the editing as well, is that if you're someone who says that you date older people, I'm wondering where the wisdom is. Because if you're older, I need to be hearing wisdom. Since you're dating older people, you've gathered wisdom, you've gathered experience. When I hear you talk, I should hear that coming out of your mouth. Now, I didn't really hear him talk much, so I can't really say too tough, but I wasn't really hearing that. So then I was like, okay, so then are these people that you're dating now older? Are they just looking for flings? Are they just looking for a bit of fun, a bit of a young boy to have sex with, a bit of this? Because honestly, if you're around older people, sensible older people, you should pick up a lot of knowledge and understanding and wisdom from these people. And actually the way you begin to even talk and converse with other people, it comes out naturally because you spent so much time around it rubs off on you. But I didn't really hear that, you know what I mean? I didn't really hear that from him per se. And the fact that Joy said, obviously, you know, you're a bit passive in how you're moving towards, like even in terms of pursuit, I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, to be honest, that's a lot of the men. They're all a bit passive, if I'm honest. Every season, the men seem to be passive in terms of how they move towards the women. They kind of take a back seat. But yeah, I didn't get the impression. I said this to a friend the other time. I said, you know, some people, when you meet them, I felt like the ladies might have treated him like a grass snake. He's not gonna bite. He's not gonna be poisonous. He's not a danger. You can even pet him on the head a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe that's the kind of energy they were getting from Wiley, that they don't feel he's necessarily a threat. And sometimes that can happen. It could be the environment that you're in. So I don't know. I was. And again, I don't think it's about being immature. I don't think that's the right word for Wiley. I just think he's in the wrong circle. But like I said, I think I was waiting to hear that extra maturity that you got from being around older women or older men that would come through, and I didn't really hear that. I don't know. How do you guys feel, Charlene? What do you think?
I mean, I don't know who he hangs around with or anything like that. I think that you cannot embody the wisdom of your peers. You have to be wise yourself in order for those things to come out of your mouth.
True.
That's the first thing. But all of this is comparative, isn't it? Because he may be mature for a 32-year-old, but I've been in a scenario, for example, where I went to a birthday dinner, and everybody was like 10 years younger than me, right? And they're all friends together, and I'm the eldest one. And I'm telling you, as mature as they think they were very immature to me. And so it's just comparative. And like I said, I don't think that the producers thought this through.
I hear that.
Because you have to provide people for the brother to have a selection, you know?
Yeah.
And that would mean selecting women maybe in their late 20s for this to work for him.
Yeah.
And I also think that there's something that happens when you get older. There's more of an urgency when you're in the bracket that they are in. So these people are in their 40s and 50s, right? They may have had one or more marriages. Some of them may have children, as in, one or more divorces, should I say. And so now they're at a space in their life where they are very clear about what it is that they want, the type of guy that they want, the type of lady that they want. And so there's more of an urgency, and there's more of a willingness, well, not in every case, but more of a willingness to be open and to move forward. And I'm just thinking that type of urgency wasn't with Wiley, maybe because he's just not at that life stage, or maybe that's just his personality, because we have seen people who are in the age bracket of 40s and 50s be passive also, so yeah.
I hear you on that. Anyone else want to add to the Wiley situation? Go for it, JR.
I just wanted to also say that there are some women who would date a younger guy because they see it as a chance to mold or sculpt him into the guy that they potentially are looking for, but they can't find in their own age range. But unfortunately, there weren't any of those types on the show, so it didn't work in his favor. Just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, that kind of, I call it the mama energy, where they want to sculpt and mold the young thing them. That's a whole nother show. But yeah, I hear you, JR.
I just wish he had a bit more time, to be honest, or they really thought about the people they were bringing on. Like, bring on people that could potentially be options for him. I felt like, I'm not trying to say it was a setup, but maybe for the entertainment of the show. But yeah, they didn't do him no justice. Okay, he's got some airtime and people know about him now, but yeah, I didn't find it fair. To be honest, he didn't really get to shine. Some people are late bloomers, and especially if you get your confidence knocked, that's going to take you like 100 steps back. So even if you had wisdom from being around people or from life experiences, because really you get wisdom from life experiences, what you've been through, like the things you've been through is what molds and shapes you as the person you become to be. So he's probably gone through stuff. He probably has a lot more to him than we've seen, but time, not bringing the right people around him, everyone belittling him, everyone, even the guys having jokes about his age. It's a, having the mandem and the females always going on about your age. That's a lot. Like you get annoyed. Like, okay, is man a dickhead? Like, is it every day that we want to talk about our age?
Mhm.
So of course he's going to feel confident to step how he wants to step. So yeah, he needed more time, and the producers did him dirty. Sorry,
I agree.
Wiley.
Yeah, I agree. I think also it made a good point about the men taking the mick out of his even his age, right? But men are really interesting, right? So we are big on respect. You know what I mean? If we bust a joke the first time and a man tell you, listen, don't bust that joke with me, it's not me. That joke don't run again, because nobody wants to jump into a fight.
Mm,
I don't think Wiley's immature. I think he's just in the wrong crowd. But I also think he in that crowd he also couldn't assert himself in this crowd. You know what I mean? Amongst the women and amongst the men, because even Paul was trying to drop jokes, like when Tina was touching him in at the Truth and Dare, and man saying that the young gun don't know about them things there. I said,
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Paul, don't do them things to me, cause you know what I mean. I just don't think he had the respect of the men or the women, and not in a bad way, but just in case like you're youngin'. And that's why I was saying that sometimes when people have wisdom, people tend to just look at them a little bit more differently. I think his wisdom would have been great for his age group, 28s, 29s, 27s, 26. He'd have been killing
mm,
it. But you're right, amongst people who are going to 40s to 50s, because I think all the women are 39 above.
mm,
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
think he was on the wrong show.
Wrong show,
yeah.
yeah. Send him to Love Island. Actually, it might be a bit too young.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, JR, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that obviously sometimes with age comes experience, right? And like you rightly pointed out, the guys, some of them have had marriages, got kids, and everything. So to them, they're probably like, well, in the back of their mind, when they see Wiley, they're probably like, man, when I was 32, or I wish I could be 32 again. I would have done things differently. They actually see him as like a young boy, like a so like you said, the guys don't respect him, and the girls didn't really see him bringing the energy of someone that could be that provider, protector, the guy that kind of commands respect in the room when he enters the room. Like very big shoes to fill, and I don't think he even grasped that that is the type of energy that he has to bring,
Bring.
because he's just been himself. And I'm not sure how experienced he is with older ladies or whatever, but um, yeah, him just being him, it wasn't enough. So unfortunately, it is what it is.
It is what it
Cool.
is. Okay, cool, man. Love that. All right, let's talk about another person then. Let's bring another person into the play. Let's talk a little bit about Laverne. Because Laverne, Laverne, he got called a few names by Precious, but Laverne. I'm just gonna put Laverne. Laverne. So, what was your guys' thoughts on Laverne? I know Charlene is ready to talk about Laverne. Charlene,
Listen,
start us off. What
listen.
is it?
Okay, so I started giving him the squint eye, not the side eye, just the squint eye, the squint of concern from last week when he was at the pool party and he was just being very aloof. And I was like, what is that all about? What is that? So when ladies and men them are asking, why are you being so aloof? There's an issue. And so we come to this week now and we find out why. He's talking with Precious and he's saying to her, I don't trust none of y'all. And I was like, oh, okay. Now this is starting to make sense. And I love how firm-handed Precious was, because he likes to deflect. He likes to avoid responsibility for the way he's showing up. And Laverne saying that he doesn't trust none of y'all, he's saying that he's not ready to love, in my opinion. I feel like he is very clouded in this present day thing on the show from past experiences, from where he may have been mistreated or hurt or let down. And it's a shame. And how it's manifesting with Laverne, right? So you've got the energy around the table with him and Precious, where he's trying to avoid, trying to block. And she's just like, hiya. She's just like, look, this is it. And he's just like, bleh, bleh, trying to block, right? But let's look at the truth or dare, right? His energy was like the equivalent of taking a hand grenade, yeah, pulling the thing, throwing it in the room, and then running off, because he wasn't volunteering to do any truth or dare. You notice that he didn't speak in that scene. He was trying to create something for the other people to have the drama, for the other people to have all of the action. And it's a classic move when you don't trust people to deflect, to try and be part of it, but you're not part of it. You're staying on the periphery, you're staying aloof, because that kind of personality doesn't want to be hurt. And so you're not going to get involved. And so it's really interesting, like his behavior with Ace versus his behavior with Tina, for example. And Tina's like, whoa, like this guy, his guard is up. He's avoiding things. He's not getting deep. It's really surface. And so with Ace, he allows his guard to drop down and he just becomes normal. But this is just the behavior of people who don't trust. They do just enough to be involved, but they're not really involved because they fear being hurt again. And it means that you're not fully invested, you're not fully available, you're not fully showing up to really receive what you came here for. And it's a shame. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yep, definitely. I'm definitely hearing that. Miss Lush, what's your thoughts?
I think I agree with what Charlene was saying with like him being her and just having that defense. But at the same time, I feel like he's just playing a game. I genuinely feel like he's trying to maneuver and he thinks he's playing chess and he's got the big boy, pieces. He's trying to move things around. He deliberately did that game to see, okay, what's gonna rock, trying to rock some boats, trying to stir. And it did. Look, Tory got vexed. His girl that I thought it was his girl was nibbling on next man's ear, nibbling like it was cheese. He was like, excuse me, my ear's here. I lend the ear. But so things were happening. He was just watching. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna call all this mayhem and then I'm gonna grab my popcorn and be like, let me see. He was just doing all of that. And I felt like when he had that sit down and she was going in, I felt like he had to say something, even though it could be true that it's been hurt. But I feel like because she said, "Oh well," he could feel that. Okay, maybe the ladies are thinking I'm not ready to love, so I'm gonna say, "Yeah, I don't trust because I don't trust y'all. You're not gonna get that until I can." Bro, calm down. I felt like he was just getting defensive and felt like I'm not going to be played or I'm not going to look like a fool on TV. So I'm going to let you know, but it's this. But once you guys get to know me and the trust back, it's not Dr. Phil. Like, I don't understand all these things. If you've done the work and you are really ready to love and you're open, there shouldn't be all these things going on. Like, it's too much. If you said you've done the work, then why are you don't have trust? Why do you have trust issues? Why is this? Why is all these issues there if you've done the work? Because you're not ready. If you've got trust issues, how are you going to even get into something? Because you've already got that there holding you back. So I don't know. I feel like it's just he's trying to maneuver, he's trying to play tactics. Even when I saw the little preview in the gentleman's table and he was trying to tell people what they should. I just thought, bro, what are he really wants to play the pieces because he wants to stay. Even when he was talking to her, he was just like, yeah, I am gonna stay to the end. When he had his confessional, when he's like, well, I know I'm gonna stay to the end and all that stuff. I was like, bro, they're thinking that you're ready to leave, you know, you're not ready to love, and you're already saying, I'm gonna be one who's gonna stay to the end. That kind of cockiness was disgusting. That just
And
I
he
looked at
also
you like, yeah.
go on, babe, go.
No, it just threw me a loop, made me do backflips and everything in the air. I felt like I was in Street Fighter and someone just gave me the KO and Hadouken and everything because I was confused. I was like, what is going on? But I definitely feel like he just said it because he wanted to say something. I felt like it there might be truth to it, but I feel like he just said, I don't trust Joel because that was going on. And he felt like, okay, I need to combat. I need to, I don't know. It's all tactics. It's all maneuvers. He's very, particular and how he chooses to word things and do things and everything is just like he's just watching his circumstances. He's watching everybody and he's thinking, okay, I can move this piece and let me see if I do this, then I can create this kind of chaos here. Nothing move like he thinks he's playing chess. And the only person he can't play chess with is Joy. No, who is it with? Ace. Is it? Yeah, Ace, because of her like spirit and he calls her peace and all of this. There's something there that he's like, okay, I ain't gonna move her around like that. So I put in a different pedestal. So I'm gonna leave that. But everyone else, he feels like he can maneuver and place pieces, but at the same time, he could be just using Ace to stay in the game. Like I feel like everything he's doing is very it's all tactics to me. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust his intentions. I don't trust that he's even on the show for love, to be honest. So Charlene, you had something to say?
Something's just occurred to me. Is it all right if I go? Something's just occurred to me. Okay. People who say that they have trust issues, what they're really saying is that they don't trust themselves. That's what they're really saying. Because when you trust yourself, you know who to trust. And so what tends to happen with people who don't trust themselves or who have trust issues, they tend to go into two extremes. One is the extreme of being very held back, very restrained, and very aloof, or they are fully in without doing the due diligence. So I'm thinking about Ace and I'm thinking about the rest of the ladies and how he's been behaving. And I remember the gentleman's lounge when Laverne was waxing lyrical about Ace, and even Tommy was like, bro, you need to slow down. And I feel like this is what people who don't trust do. They're either fully in when they haven't vetted the scenario, or they are completely aloof because they've been hurt before. And I feel like that's what Laverne is doing. That just occurred to me. I'm just saying.
Hey, it's something to think about. I'm hearing you on that. I'm hearing that. Yeah, JR?
Okay, so with Laverne, I think there's quite a few things I noticed with him. Right, so I'll start with the game of truth or dare. Definitely was a ploy to put the cat amongst the pigeons kind of thing. All right. So he wanted to see whose best connection was with who, you know. So I think once he'd done that, he knew that there would be chaos ensuing, because some people's top is also liked by somebody else, for example, right? So it's a way of gauging who is feeling who. And he just sat back and watched so he can move accordingly. So that was strategic. Also, though, I think when he had the pottery date with Joy last week, I mean, that was quite an intimate date. That's that type of date, you know, especially when they got playful at the end and they were flinging clay on each other and all that type of stuff. I think he thought he had a better connection with Joy. And he's also said, Joy is me. Like, he's actually been saying things like that. Joy is me. He said that at the deliberation in front of Clifton. And Joy isn't you, bruh. Because the first thing she did was get up and run and kiss Clifton right in front of your face too. So I don't think he took that well. Why? Because he's very competitive amongst the guys. All right. So he doesn't particularly gel with any of the guys. He hasn't really got a buddy like that he is kind of tight with, from what we can see. So he views all the guys as competition in some way, particularly Clifton over Joy, right? So that's why I think he made those comments about Joy. Once he'd seen the chaos with Sabrina, Demetrius, and Tory, remember Sabrina got up and licked Demetrius's ear right in front of Tory's face. And that surprised a few people because people thought Tory and Sabrina were rocking with each other like that, right? And even Dakia made the comment, wow, I thought, you know, they expected Sabrina to go straight to Tory. She went to Demetrius instead. He sat back and saw that too. So he probably thought that that was a snake move on her part. So his comment to Precious, talking about, well, I don't trust none of y'all, that is probably what kind of spurs that on. The fact that he's seen Sabrina move the way she did with Demetrius, which was against what everyone was expecting with Tory. He's also, Laverne's also had Carmen touch his butt on their date when they went, you know, he's had a date with her. And again, like, I think his date with Ace, his connection with Ace, I should say, is kind of to keep him in the show. Why? Because without Ace's reinforcement of how strong their connection was in the ladies' deliberation, he would have been gone. They'd have been gone. There would have been no one vouching for him like that. So Ace kind of talked him up. She was like, yeah, I know this isn't popular opinion, but I'm rolling with Laverne as one of my choices, right? So I think she definitely kept him in this week. When he sat down with Precious, and she did a good job. Why? Because he has indicated before, in one of the questions on one of his earlier dates, I think he asked one of the ladies, I can't remember which one, but he said, what would you do if I started acting up in public? How would you rein me in? Type thing, right? On this date with Precious, this was her reining him in and keeping him accountable from the way he behaved and the way he's been moving throughout the show. And it wasn't from just her personal perspective. It was the whole group of women that she was speaking for. And his competitive nature and his ego probably found that hard to take. That she was putting him in his place like that and telling him what the ladies thought of him. He probably found that very tough to keep his composure. Which is why he did start to come with some pushback energy and got defensive. But then he did start to receive what she was saying eventually. And when he fired back with, I don't trust none of y'all, I think he was also speaking from a place of hurt. Like, I don't think he's used to not finishing first or being the person in the room that's the star or the celebrity or the, you know, give off the, I'm here. So why are you looking at all the other guys? I'm here. I'm the bodybuilder. Like, I'm the one that won competitions. I'm the one that walked around in the skin peas on stage winning medals. So, like, bro, I'm that guy. You know, I think he has an aura of, like, an air of superiority. And as we saw as in the snippet coming for next week, he starts to somehow think he can give the guys advice on what to do in the dating scenario. That's how superior he thinks he is. And he ain't got nothing to show for that, which is why Demetrius was pushing back on him like, dude, like, how are you an expert on dating? Like, you haven't shown anything. Like, in fact, at the pool, you were missing, bro. And I also think there's a reason for that too. He was missing because he thought pottery date with Joy went better than it probably did, right? So when he's at the lakeside, he's probably chilling like, yeah, I got Joy now. Nah, you ain't, bro. You ain't wrestled her from Clifton yet. She's still under Clifton spell, and that still looks like the most solid connection. It didn't work. So, yeah, I think he's going to definitely try and get close to Ace, but I don't think that's going to work out, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm hearing you guys clear, man. You know, I think Laverne is an interesting character. I think we start piecing all the pieces together now. After a few episodes, it makes sense. Although it seemed undeliberate to sit in the corner on the very first day during the mixer, it was very deliberate. It was, now I see it as deliberate, not as, oh, you know what, I just couldn't move because the ladies were coming. Sure, he also couldn't move because some ladies were coming, but I think it also is one of those things where it became part of his game plan. I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna wait for the ladies to come, you know, they're gonna come, they're gonna talk to me, because you repeat the same movement at the pool. He was hoping to do a repeat. It was a repeat movement, you know, sit at the edge, you know, sit you know, away from everybody else, and because of that I'll create mystery and people will come and find me, right? But unfortunately it didn't work. It's a tactic that he used. It didn't work out, unfortunately. I mean, listen, I'm not against a tactic. You know what I'm saying? If that's the strategy you're using, hey, that's the strategy you're using. And it works if you've got investment in these women. If you've done enough investment in these women and they're emotionally invested, this works. It honestly works. Ladies will come over like, hey, I see you sitting on your own. What's going on? Like, talk to me. You're in. But nobody did that. In fact, people were tired of him. In fact, Precious, Carmen, and I can't remember the other person is, gathered at the Three Winds and were calling him all sorts of names. God complex, this and that, And do you know what it is as well? The fact that Ace is saying in the group chat with the ladies, with Tommy, that I know it's an unpopular opinion, tells me it's an unpopular opinion. He's unpopular. It's that simple, darling. Your man is unpopular, okay? He's not making good rounds with the ladies. We've heard it over the past few weeks. He's negative, you know, as well. And we heard it from two ladies, Carmen and Precious, heard that when they were messaging him, he's negative. We've seen it a bit of ourselves. Well, how he you know, introduces the men jokingly, you know, oh, you know, nobody one, nobody two, nobody three. And when you start piecing all these things to start piecing it together, it starts to make a bit of sense, you know, where you're like, now we can't say you're joking. This is your passive aggressive movement to try and downgrade everybody else to uplift yourself. You're afraid of the competition. Now, he might never come out and say he was afraid of the men. You know, who would? But your behaviors are starting to show that, bro, you know, you're starting to show some, you know, some fear, and it's coming out in a kind of a little bit of an ugly manner. I think the way Precious approached it, I think she was a little bit hot. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think she came in a little bit hot. And I think that instantly brought up his defense as well. But interestingly enough, I think when people are under pressure, you get to hear what they got to say. And, you know, the fact that he said he didn't trust any of them, that's the truth. He does not trust any of them. That's the absolute truth that came out of his mouth. And you know, I don't know what's happened to in his past, but I don't know if anyone remembers, he said he's never had a woman that loves him. That's actually what his words were, that he's never had a woman that actually loves him for him. But he'd been married and divorced, by the way. He'd been married and divorced. So for him to say, I never had a woman love me for me, tells me that, bro, you might have had a fragile ego before this marriage that you had. You get into marriage, this woman does something that you don't like. I don't know what could have happened. Who knows what could have happened in that marriage. You end up getting divorced. That leaves a feeling of bitterness and resentment towards women. And now you're in a place where, you know what, it takes a specific type of woman that really is going to prize you open. Therefore, yes, you do not trust many of them, because really and truthfully, it takes a special woman that's going to have a certain energy and a certain patience for your nonsense, right? That's why Carmen was out the window after the first date, and after talking to him on the phone. That was it. She was done. That should let you know that, bro, there's something not quite right in the way you're engaging. Because in the beginning, you had her. She was there on the date. She was jamming with you, vibing with you, even touching your butt. Okay? She even touched your butt. And yet still, when it goes to further progression, she's not really involved with you. And I think that is something that he needs to look at. You know, something that he needs to look at. I think his competitiveness goes too far. And I'll just end it on this part. The 2 times I've seen this thing happen is the very first one he did it is Carmen, and I said I'll give him a pass, but I still think it's competitive. When she said, "Oh, I go gym 5 times," he said 6 times. All right, cool. Fine. We got Tina now saying, "I cook good chicken. I cook better chicken." You know what I mean? Like I've got the whoa. What's going on here? You know what I mean? Right? And it's a tone that he uses. It's fine to joke. Like, you might say, I cook chicken. I'm like, girl, you know, I cook the best chicken around here. Trust me, you ain't playing mine. Like, but I'm saying it in a jokey way. I'm not doing it as a competition. But if I do that several times, someone's going to look at me like, every time you say something, you know, it's like he always has to do a one-up on you. And that's Laverne. That's not cute. That's not attractive. And maybe Ace doesn't mind that because she's a bit more quiet and more introspective. Maybe it doesn't bother as much. But it's not for me. You know what I'm saying? Anyone else have thoughts on Laverne on this? Yes, Charlene, go for it.
There's so much juice and gold in what you just said, you know, Kojo. And I think that one of the reasons why he is so attracted to Ace is because she's the type of woman who is very non-reactive. And so she doesn't ever trigger him. And it's like, if you don't feel like you are not loved, or if you feel like you are not loved for who you are, then there's a tendency to try and prove it. That's what the competitiveness is about. It's, look at me, I can do this, I'm good at this. This is why you can love me. That's what this is about, right? And when it comes to Ace, she's so calm. He's described her as love. That's a big statement, you know. Ace is love. And I think if he doesn't feel loved, he's going to gravitate towards the woman who he believes is love. And I just think that, I do think that Precious came in hot with her conversation with him, but I'm glad, because of his aversion to taking responsibility for the grenades that he's throwing and then running away. Do you know what I mean? I'm glad that she handled it in the way that she did, because it really forced him to have a look. One thing that he said in his confessional is that just after the conversation with Precious was, I'm going to get to the end of the show and she's going to come to me. That's one thing that he said. And I just really see pain. I see pain. I see hurt. I see someone who doesn't believe that they are enough. And I see somebody who's kind of acting out. And you invent these little tactics to try and get reactions from people. Just like you said at the pool, he's going to try and get the women to come to him. He just comes across like his ego is bruised, he is bruised. And so, yeah, like JR and Slash said, when he's trying to give advice to the gents, they're just like, brubs, you have no authority here. Okay? So, yeah.
Miss Lush and then JR. Are you going to say something, Miss Lush, and then JR, you can go after?
Yeah, I agree with what Charlene says about him being hurt, but at the same time, I just really feel like he wants to stay in the game. That competitive streak in him is like, I am going to be the king of this castle, and the queen is going to come for me, but knowing that I am the king of this castle. Like, and I feel like because he felt like he could have had that connection with Joy, but Joy and Clifton's connection is hella tight. So he's thinking, okay, who else? No one else is checking for him. Ace is the only one who's giving him that opening. She's opened that door for him to walk in. So he's like, he's going to attach himself. And I feel like he's just going to go overboard. Like, even the way he's talking to her, I'm thinking, rubbing her leg, like, trying to be like, I'm really into you. Like, I feel like it's forced. I feel like you're forcing it now. You're not letting it be organic. You're really trying to get her so she can save you, because if she didn't go and bat for him in that deliberation with the women, he would have gone home instead of Wiley. She was just like, don't be so mama. She batted for him. So he's thinking, okay, I'm going to keep the way he's been extra, like with the flirting and stuff, and trying to, I was just like, you're doing it because you have no other connections. No one else is checking for you. This is your only lifeline. It's like, he wants to become a millionaire. Like, that is the lifeline. He can't call a friend. He can't do 50-50. He only has the lifeline. And he's going hard for that lifeline. And he's going to do whatever he can to make this girl feel like she is the only one and all that jazz, because that is his lifeline. That is his way. That is his golden ticket. Nah, I don't trust him. Nope. No, sir. That's all I gotta say.
Hear that? I like it. Competitive spirit. I'm hearing that. JR, what's your thoughts?
I also think we can't downplay how damaged he might be from his failed marriage. Like, we can't downplay that. Like, as competitive as he is, and probably the image he has of himself, I think he may not have taken the time to necessarily heal from whatever transpired. We don't know what happened, but the fact that his marriage didn't work might play on his mind. And I only say that because he seems to have a competitive and combative nature about himself. So I think also, as Lash mentioned, the strategic hand placement on Ace's knee. When he was talking to her, his hand didn't shift one time. It was like he was talking to her deliberately with that hand placement, as if to say, I'm feeling you, Ace. With his actions, and because all the other tactics he's used with the other women, the touch my butt with Carmen, the touch my butt with Joy at the bowling alley, the pottery date with Joy, like everybody said, the poolside retreat. None of that stuff actually worked with any of the other girls. Any girl, even Ace. She was with Tory in the hammock and things like that. I think Carmen even said they didn't even know where he was. Like they just felt like he disengaged. So yeah, I think what he did was when he realized that there's a chance he could be going home, that strategic hand placement plus the firm kind of whispering in Ace's ear about, yeah, girl, me and you, girl, when the ship, we're gonna last all the way to the end, or that type of stuff. That's what he was kind of doing, and it worked because she kept him in the game. But again, I'm not sure if there's a genuine connection there, to be honest. I think it was just to keep him in the game. The reason why I say that is because I think he would be highly embarrassed at being sent home. That sense of dismissal and being dismissed by the other women, the fact that the other guys, because they don't all get on with him and they probably see him as a dweeb, like they probably might have a little chuckle, or in his mind, they're not there for him. He's not a buddy to them. I think that might weigh on his mind as well if he does get eliminated. So he's trying to save face and try and keep himself in with Ace. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts going all out for Ace, but I don't think it's for the genuine reason of actually being ready to love. I think he's just ready to stay to the end so he doesn't get voted off.
I hear that. Thorough breakdown of Laverne. Okay, I'm hearing you. All right, let's switch lanes. We had also Precious was discussed. She spoke to Demetrius and was saying, she's going to prove, that she's not the party girl. So I want to get you guys and ladies' thoughts on Precious and what you thought about, her in this episode. JR, what's your thoughts on Precious?
I think Precious, for the first few weeks, I think for the first 2 weeks or so, I didn't really see much of her, but what I did see was her leading with a lot of maybe flirtatious / sexual energy, right? And that's only based on the comments she was making. It wasn't like she was walking around trying to seduce everybody at that point. But then she stepped it up a level and started trying to be seductive, flirtatious. And again, I didn't necessarily see anything wrong with that. But then as I started thinking about it more, I'm thinking that this may be a tactic for her to overcome some type of shyness or, adapt to this dating environment, which is speed dating essentially. And I think she's been very forward and very open. So there is some depth to her. Like when she opened up to Tory a few weeks ago, talking about, I think it was her mum or one of her relatives not being close to her. It might have been her mum. And I also think that not only is she trying to get Demetrius to kind of show her affection, show her attention, you know, choose her type thing as one of his tops. I think she's been trying to do that with Paul as well. And I don't think it's gone down the way she wanted it to. So that's why I think she felt the need to kind of step to Demetrius and kind of clear the air and say, look, I'm not a party girl. I know I've given off that vibe, but I'm really not. There's a lot more layers to me, and I want you to see that. I want to prove myself. I want to show you that there's more. Because just like with Paul, I think she started off giving a certain type of vibe, and that wasn't resonating. But I think she's got the message now that she needs to kind of be more relaxed on the sexual energy, because a lot of the guys are looking for long term, not short term. I don't think there's any guys at the moment that are just like looking for short term. They're all quite wise and experienced with age. Some of them have had marriages, they've got kids and whatnot. So they're looking for someone more serious than Precious gives the vibes of at certain times. So again, I'm not knocking her. I think, you know, everyone's unique, but I think she should just kind of continue to be herself, but show other sides to her other than just the, okay, I'm sexy, I'm sultry, I'm seductive. What else do you bring though? So that's what I take from Precious.
You said, yeah? Okay, I hear that. Definitely hear that. Miss Leish, what's your thoughts on Precious?
You know what? I like Precious. At first, I wasn't sure about her, thinking she's doing too much. But I liked her conversation with Demetrius, and her. I felt like she was being quite genuine, but then he didn't take it that way. He felt like she was just doing damage control and this, that. So I feel like people are gonna read her how they're gonna read her, and I don't feel like they're reading her right. I feel like maybe they're reading her like she's a cover of a book, and they haven't taken the time to read the pages. So they're just seeing what they see and what she's given, and it could be a defense mechanism. It could be like, okay, this is a lot. I'm on TV. I'm shy, but I want people to know that I'm here. So you might be doing too much. She could be putting on a character, or maybe that could be her. And she said she's an outgoing person, and she's probably, but the realness of it and her talking, when she talks, I feel like it doesn't feel like she's acting or putting a facade. Like when she's going deeper, I feel like she's actually opening up herself a bit, being vulnerable, but I don't feel like people are receiving that, and it's just getting shut down. So I don't know how things are going to play with her, but actually, the more she talks and gets a bit deeper, the more I start to see her character, the more I'm starting to like, you know what, I like you, like, but I don't think people are really taking the time to hear what she's saying. They're either having in their mind, they've already got the assumptions that she is playing a game or she's doing damage control because she was in the bottom too. And I feel like people already having their back up thinking, oh, she's a little bit too much. She was giving that guy that energy and she's giving this guy that energy. And so they've already taken her in the same brush. So I feel like they have already just looked at the cover of the book and decided, no, that's not me. But I haven't taken the time to read the book. There's books that you see the cover and you won't even read the book because you look at the cover and that's not a bit of me. I think maybe if people took the time to kind of actually listen to her, but they're already thinking, is it damage control? Is she trying to make a connection because she was in the bottom two? Don't know. But I'm starting to see, I don't know. I wasn't really checking for the girl. Sorry. The previous weeks, but there's something, she gave me a different energy, and I felt like she's been vulnerable at points. I feel like because she feels like people are judging her or reading her wrong, and you're like, that's not the woman I am. She's really like, okay, let me open up and be more vulnerable and speak and say, hey, like this is me. But I don't know if it's too late for her to get there because they've already seen her in one way and just painted her with that brush, and they can't see anything else but that brush. If they've seen red, that's all they're gonna see. She might be like, but no, I'm really pink, but all they've seen is red. So I don't know moving forward how that's gonna play out.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Thank you, Miss Nash. Charlene, what's your thoughts?
So I don't think it's ever wise to say to Demetrius, this isn't who I am. This is who I am. Because people don't care about what you have to say. What they care about is who are you being? And the best way to overcome a negative stereotype is just to be all of you. Be that. I think it's a mistake to just talk about it because I think it was damage control. But I also think she's very sincere. I think she feels misunderstood. And I don't think she realizes, because like I'm thinking about her date with Donovan, um, when she was at the pool party, she often talks about, can he feel this heat coming from my body, that kind of thing. And she's at the pool party, she's very flirtatious. And one thing she said to Demetrius at the pool party was, you know, I I don't want to get her words wrong, but something along the lines of, I feed off people's energy. I get the impression that she's an extrovert, that she enjoys that spark, she enjoys that banter. And I think she enjoys sexual flirtation and spark. But if that is all that you present, then it's problematic. It's interesting because I see some similar things in Joy, but for some reason, it's not offensive. Joy is very playful. But she's also got an aura about her that she's very grounded and very secure. And that's the reason why it hits different. But with Precious, if she wants to turn opinions around, which I don't think is a good idea, to try and behave in a different way to get people's opinions to be different, fund the opinions, do you, but be the person that is authentically you, that is going to attract the love that you want, the love that you actually came here for. And unfortunately, she's not allowing herself to be vulnerable. Obviously, we don't know what's happening in the phone calls. Do you know what I mean? There's phone calls happening in between these scenes. There's dates that's happening in between these scenes, and there's more that we've got to see of her. But I feel like her and Pio and there's some other people that have had some rude awakenings. So Pio has softened. He has stopped interviewing people. He's had an about face. I'm curious to see if Precious is going to have an about face of her own. And just relax, babes. Relax, open up, soften, go for what you want. You came here for love. All right, well, be love then. That's what I have to say.
Go for it, JL.
All right. So I think there is obviously a vital part to Precious that we kind of skipped over, which is, again, she didn't have that sexual vibe, that same energy with Tory when she sat down with him. Right? When she sat down with Tory, she was more vulnerable and they both shared that bond that they had a bonding experience, right? And she hasn't opened up in the same way with any of the other guys. I don't think she sat down and discussed that on that level. You know, her past, her childhood, her upbringing, all that stuff. It's all been based around her walking around with a drink or, you know, trying to be social. But again, not actually. And I'm not saying like she needs to sit down and tell everybody, oh, well, you know, this was my issue growing up. I'm not saying that she needs to do that. I'm saying that because Tory seems to be the only one that's she's actually had that level of conversation with, that's where her focus should be. Yeah, because the other guys aren't feeling her in that way. So trying to appease them and, yeah, you know, let me make amends and let me make it up to you. No, you ain't got time for that. Yeah. Like, that's people pleasing. That's like, you don't need to do that. Go to Tory, spend some time with Tory, some alone time while you're on the show still. I take it that Tory, I know we haven't touched on it yet in depth, but I'm sure Tory, I don't even think he's opened up in the same way that he did to Precious with anybody either, including Sabrina. So again, from the snippet we saw as well, they obviously hear off in this upcoming episode, and Tory makes his move. So like, yeah, I want to see how that plays out, because I don't necessarily think he's moving on some rejection tip either. I think he's actually pursuing a genuine connection that he may have, and she, if she's receptive to it, she's receiving the energy because they have a genuine connection.
Okay.
Something that both of them haven't had with the other cast members.
Okay. I'm hearing that. Yeah. I hear that. All right. Let's shift it on. Thank you very much. I'll shift it on, guys. We'll shift it now to I guess we're there. Sabrina and the triangle that we have going on in this season, you know. Sabrina and the triangle. Charlene, what are you saying?
Listen, when it comes to Tory, okay, let me start with Sabrina. It is difficult to be on a dating show with the two guys that you are interested in being interested in you. That's just going to pose a problem. And I think that Sabrina is damned if she does, and she's damned if she does not. She can't really win in this scenario. But what I would say with the game of truth or dare, the reason why Tory was hurt was because he was blindsided. He didn't really understand how much of a connection that her and Demetrius really had. And I understand that, because remember, Laverne's throwing grenades, yeah? He's being messy, as far as I was concerned, in even suggesting the game, and stepping out of the way, and the thing explodes. And Tory was hurt. It was the way he found out. It was the game. It's just drama. It's just drama. I mean, I don't, with Demetrius, I feel like he arrived on this episode. I feel like I'm finally getting to know him. And he said things like, you know, you have to get to know me and peel back the layers. Perhaps, let me just say this, yeah. I think that mystery men are hard work. This whole thing, you have to peel back my layers. No, bruvs, come open, come willing, come as a leader and lead the team. And I think any other way, this is just me personally, any other way is just hard work. But I think that Sabrina genuinely likes him. She genuinely likes Tory, but for very different reasons. And I'm curious as to how this will move forward. But I like how open she's been. She's not tried to cover anything up. She said to Tory, look, I understand that you feel away, but I need your patience. Here's the thing, right? People can ask anything from you that they want to ask. They can ask for it. It's up to you whether you want to give it or not, you know. And you have to take the responsibility to say, this is my choice or this is not my choice. So if Tory wants to give her the patience, it's because he's the king of his life and this is what he chooses to do. But I feel like Tory kind of wound his neck in a little bit in terms of, you know what, I am here on a dating show. This is the process. This is what I signed up for. And we'll see what happens next.
Okay. Miss Lush, what are you saying? Thanks, Charlene. Love triangle.
Yeah, like I definitely think Sabrina is actually just going through the process, but at the same time, communication is key. So I feel like him being blindsided because him not knowing, like maybe what we're seeing is the same thing he's seeing, even though there might be more scenes that has been shot and hasn't been aired. But he's thinking, well, I don't really see you with brother like that. I don't really see you, engaging with him like that. So I didn't even know there was a connection like that that was strong enough, that was stronger than what we had. So if she was a bit more, you know what, like I really enjoy being with you, but at the same time, I'm enjoying my conversations that I'm having with Demetrius, maybe outside of the show, because he must be doing that groundwork. Because for her to be feeling him like that, I was always confused why she was always like, Demetrius, even when he was on the bus, like, Demetrius is there and he's not fighting for. I was like, why you keep saying the same? There must be something. Like, he must be talking that smooth talk, like Barry White, deep, what something must be going on behind the scenes because she is just smitten. There's something about him that she's just like, Demetrius. So I think she just needs to be a bit more open. Just say, like, you know what, I've been talking to Demetrius, we've gone on a few dates and I'm actually enjoying it. But this is still a process and I'm still trying to navigate this process and get to know the guys that I'm having connections with to see who I have the strongest connection with. But if you're leaving people in the dark and they're thinking that you and that person have a strong connection and everything is rosy, then when things like that truth or dare thing, like Tory was mad. He got up and I can see in her face like the horror of like, oh no, like is he gonna leave? Is he not gonna talk to me anymore? Because when he got up, her face looked shook. She looked shook. I like in her eyes, everything was just like, whoa, like did I make a mistake? Just be open and say. And even in the dinner when they spoke, he was just like, okay, I just need to know. Because I think he put all his eggs in one basket because he thought she kind of put all her eggs in one basket. Now he knows, okay, well, you know what? She has other connections and she's exploring. He's not going to shut himself down. So he's like, all right, okay, I'm going to get to know. Because he purposely, I feel like, blocked himself getting to know people because he felt like, okay, him and Sabrina have something. But he's like, okay, I'm gonna get to know people. I'm gonna enjoy. But I think a little bit of it is like he was a little bit hurt. So I feel like not tit for tat, but in that preview, like going for the kiss, I was thinking, I don't know if that was just because you wanted to, or you're just gonna be like, if this gets back to Sabrina, well, girl, you're gonna, miss out because I'm gonna be out here in the streets. So it's just communication. Communication's key. Just let people know what you're doing, what's going on. if you're getting connections, if you're enjoying it, just so everyone knows where they're at. Because if no one knows where they're at and they're kept in the dark and then they see something, it's going to throw people off and get reactions like what happened with Tory. So at first I was thinking, is she playing a game or does she like just having two guys? But I don't know. The fear on her face when he got up, I was thinking, okay, she must really like him. So I don't know. I feel like she just needs to be just transparent and just let people know what it is. So I don't know. I don't think she's playing a game. But I think she enjoys having two guys. He like her, for sure. I think definitely.
Okay, I'm hearing you now. JR, what's your thoughts? Thank you, Miss Nash. What's your thoughts, JR?
Okay, Sabrina, here comes some smoke for you. Right. She said a few weeks ago that she wants these guys to compete for her. She wants two guys to fight for her. That's specifically what she said in her little vignette, and that's what she's trying to orchestrate. All right, she wants to see two guys compete and may the best man win, and she gonna pick the best man, and that's that's her strategy. All right, and Tory last week came with the two cakes, the two fairy cakes. Well, I think there was 4 in the box, right? He ate 2 on the way back to the set. Broke her off 1 and sat down with the intention of eating 1 with her. Just joking. But yeah, basically he sat down with her, and I think that was a moment that he felt was significant. I think he felt he was pouring his heart out in a way to her, right? You're being vulnerable. And although she may have received the energy, she didn't reciprocate it. She was receptive. She appreciated the sentiment. And but like Lars said, she's always thinking of Demetrius for some reason. So it didn't quite hit the mark that Tory expected it to. And that's why I think he was quite dejected at when she got up and she went over and licked Demetrius' ear, right? Probably thought, okay, like he was going to be the one that she gets up and licks, right? So there's an air of disappointment, probably a little bit of, not embarrassment, but man, I laid my cards on the table with you over everybody else. So I expected a bit more respect for my feelings than for you to do that. Then when Demetrius was asked and to do the dare, he got up and he planted a smacker, like a big kiss, straight up on the lips in front of Tory's face. Now, if the first one didn't burst his bubble about Sabrina, the second one definitely wounded him. And that's why I think he got up and said, you know what? I'm walking away from this, man. This is crazy. Like, I genuinely felt like the look on his face when he saw that was genuine hurt. That was genuine pain that he felt. He was like, rah, man, like, I sat down and I professed, not love for the girl, but came pretty close, as much as I could do in this circumstance. So she knows that she was feeling him. He knows that he was feeling her enough to do that, but she wasn't feeling him, obviously. When they had that one-to-one afterwards, that was her attempt at damage control to try and say, okay, look, I know I did that in your face. I know I licked his ear. I know you just saw me get a kiss from him as well. But you know what? Stay here. Like, just park yourself here. I haven't made my decision yet. Just stay with it. It still could be you. You know, you're still in with a chance. I haven't concrete rode off into the sunset with Demetrius yet. Just stay here. It's still a process. It's still a game. There's still a chance, Tory. Because again, she's trying to keep up some type of energy that makes these guys compete for her and win her over. And I'm kind of glad that he was just like, look, no, like, I've seen enough. Like, you can have Demetrius. I don't think Tory is competitive in nature. I don't think he's like that. I think from what I've seen of him so far on the show, which isn't much, but I haven't seen him compete or say that he's in competition with the guys or anything like that. So I don't think he enjoys being in this triangle, to be honest. Even though he does have a little triangle of his own with Ace and Sabrina. But I think where the difference is, it's a different connection with Ace. It's more like it seems more like a relaxed vibe type of energy, rather than Sabrina being the one who he has stronger feelings for, which is why it hurts so bad to see that in his face. So interestingly, like I said, I think his connection with Precious is going to be one to watch. Why? Because he still seems to have some type of connection with Sabrina, which is mutual. And now it seems like he's going to focus his attention on Precious and replace Sabrina with Precious instead, which puts him in a triangle. So, yeah, that's what I took from that.
Appreciate that, Joe. Yes, Charlene, you want to say?
I just want to say something really quickly, though. Okay. Her exact words, Sabrina's exact words in regards to the guys being competitive were, and I quote, "It feels awkward to have two guys not compete, but compete." I don't think that a woman who enjoys men competing over her would use the word awkward. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
Sorry, I must have missed that part, but I did see the part where she was actually quite, I wouldn't say giddy, I wouldn't say happy, but there was like a vignette that she made a few weeks ago. I think it was the bus ride episode. I think it was after she put Paul in his place about not being attracted to him. She had a little moment where she was like, yeah, like, you know, I want the two guys I'm interested in to compete. She did actually specifically say that. So, not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like, there is no guidebook on how to carry yourself or a specific dating strategy that's going to be 100% effective. But I don't think she minds the attention of two guys at all. I don't think she finds it awkward because, let's face it, she wasn't awkward when she got up and ran to Demetrius and licked his ear. She wasn't awkward when she sat down with Tory afterwards. She wasn't awkward at all. She was quite forward with Tory and said, look, yes, I licked his ear. Yes, it was in your face. But yes, I'm still interested in you to a degree. And, you know, it's part of the process. So she wasn't shy, meek, or timid about it. She knows what she's doing. and it's quite strategic, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Tory, unfortunately, is too invested in Sabrina and should be establishing other connections.
Any other thoughts, Charlene or Miss Lush? No. I mean, to be honest, I don't think she did anything wrong.
No, I'm not saying she did.
I think this is part of the game. I definitely believe you. I think she knew what she was doing. I definitely think she was trying to incite something from Tory. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think she would do anything wrong. I think Tory kind of showed his hand. He's not a competitor, and it showed. So unfortunately, he's out. And he will be a pawn in the game for me. I think she'll use him to get to Demetrius. He'll be a stepping stone, unfortunately. And it's just one of those things, like, what you're seeing there is just what you see, what you would not normally see, but happens in dating. Some people are literally placeholders of time. They are there to fulfill your ego, your validation, your time. I know, but sometimes you just have to, and that's why you have to, and that is why you have to keep your cool as an individual. If you've not bought, you have to remain cool. If you've not bought, you cannot put all your eggs of investment and heart and emotions into that person, because you don't know what they're doing on the other side. Now, until you've finished and you've bought, then you can say something. But until then, you have to reserve a little bit back in terms of your emotions and your heart with that person, because they may have other people that they're talking to. It's unfortunate, but it's a position that they find themselves in. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, Tory's gonna kiss Precious, but it is gonna look like a kickback. I don't know, like, bro, you weren't kissing her before, so it's gonna look like a kickback. You know what I mean? You weren't kissing her before, so it's a kickback. Regardless of whatever you say after that, it's gonna look like you got moved because Sabrina did what she did, and you're trying to get some comeback from that. And this is why when you play the game, you got to make sure that you keep some cards to your chest, and you don't let people know how there are certain things that you don't let people know. This was not a moment for him to bare his whole heart, unless he's going to say, well, you know what, I bared my whole heart now and I'm gone. That's it. That any bearing of your heart after this, bro, has exposed you. Look, if she really cared about how you felt when she did this thing, she would have said, listen, guys, I've got 2 love interests here. I'm not going to play this game. Okay? So that's the kind of woman you're dealing with. She don't mind playing that game in front of you. Not because she's trying to be necessarily disrespectful, but she likes to play that game. So you should have replied by, like, if that's the game we're playing, I hear you. No, I'm good. It's a lie, but you're good. I'm good. Yeah, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? It's a losing game to expose your feelings in such a scenario. This is war, and in war, we don't have time for tears. We don't have time. Shalom, you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head for?
I'm shaking my head at you, Kojo. I'm shaking my head. I do not agree. Listen, Linda, listen. Okay, when it comes to love,
yeah,
you must. When you've got a cold, yeah.
Yeah.
And you rub the little Vicks underneath your nose, and now your nostrils them is open, and you can smell everything. That's how open you need to be with love. That is how open you need to say that thing with your chest, even when you think you've been played, even when you think the other person. Speak the truth, because I promise you, you will heal from whatever heartbreak it is. But at least you can say that you said it, you were in there with your full chest, not with just one shoulder, like tentative. Nah, man, be fully in. And no matter what, you can say, I acted with integrity. I was in it to be loved, to be open with everything that I have. And whatever happens after that happens. And I know the nature of the human body, the human heart, is to heal. I will heal from this.
He will.
Period. That's what I have to say.
No, I agree with you. You should be open in that, but this is a unfortunately, this is a game show. So
Even in a game show.
playing it with
Just
absolute innocence is asking to be killed in this game. Like you're not in the zoo. You are in the wilderness. You're in the wildlife. There are true lions about. You know what I mean? So you can't even pretend. You have to play the game with a little bit of tech. You know, some vavavoom in you. You have to play with some panache.
connect.
For finesse, you got to be aware that there are lions around. And I'm only saying that because, like, okay, sure, in real life, you never see this, right? So it would be disrespectful. If you were talking to somebody and they did this, it's disrespectful because you never see this. You can walk away. But I've got no issue with him sharing his heart. But if you share your heart, you got to walk away. Because once you share your heart and be like, oh my gosh, and he also doubled back. Because she said to him, oh, so are you saying you want to leave the thing then? And he's like, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. Well, bro, but now you've done that. You're looking like a pussy. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're looking like a pussy. And listen, and if you thought she was going to like you before, this is a turn off. This is a turn off. You should have held up yourself, grabbed your balls and be like, you know what? Yeah, obviously, I felt a little bit of a way. I felt a little bit jealous, you know what I'm saying? But it's all part of the game. Do you feel me? Like, I understand you got connections. I got connections as well. So, you know what it is. You have to be stoic. As a man, you have to be stoic in these situations. Bearing your heart means I'm leaving the game. So be hurt and walk away. And that's fine. Don't entertain it. But now you've gone back on yourself. You've given her all the power in the world. What are you saying, JR?
I'm saying I kind of agree with you, Coach, and also I wanted to say that he, like, at the 1-to-1 after the licking ear incident and all that stuff, the damage control from Sabrina that day. He said, "Look, I'm an old school guy, so I lay my cards on the table, and I thought we had a stronger bond than that, right?" And again, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I also don't see anything wrong with him now saying, look, okay, I've seen how you move. I'm going to now divert my attention to the other ladies that I potentially could be with and give them that energy and that time that you would have had. You can go and build your thing with Demetrius. I'm going to go and see who's out there, who I'm feeling, and we'll just see where the cards fall at the end of the day. Because you have to remember, if this game wasn't played, right? If this truth or dare game was not played or suggested by Laverne, then he wouldn't have seen this. This would not have manifested in his face the way it did. It would have continued to be, oh yeah, let me have this quick moment with Sabrina. Let me pour her some wine. Let me bring her some flowers. Let me bring her some chocolates. You know, it would have continued to be that. But he wouldn't have known that she's really feeling Demetrius more. Right? She's not gonna tell him, yeah, thank you for the chocolates, thank you for the flowers, thank you for the cake, but I like Demetrius more than I like you. She'd never say that to him because she's trying to keep him there just in case her and Demetrius don't work. So if that game wasn't played, he wouldn't have known that he was getting played, so to speak. You feel what I'm saying? So
It's hurt or be hurt.
tactic worked. Laverne's tactic worked, but it didn't work out in Laverne's favor the way he probably wanted to. He did set the cat amongst the pigeons, and unfortunately, it seems like Tory is the one that came off worst out of all of the members of the group because he was the most invested in the person he had the connection with. And now, even though he may not have severed the connection completely, like you said, that may be a weak move to some people, but at least he can focus the rest of the time on the show on trying to see Precious or Ace and see what he can build with those two instead of Sabrina. I also would say it is a turn off for some guys to see, you know, the girl that you like, getting kissed by another guy in front of your face. Not many guys would be able to take that.
They won't.
Even though it
You're
is a
right.
dating show, even though, you know, like, let's face it, there are some guys that would not take kindly to that, and they're not going to
I
move
agree.
in an aggressive way towards the guy. It's just going to turn them off the girl and just say, okay, do your thing. That's cool.
Then walk away. This is my point. Then walk away. You see,
Yeah,
you can't have both. You can't have both. If you see that, walk away, because right now all
exactly.
that's going to happen is he's going to open himself up for disrespect. You see, once you saw that girl doing something that you don't like, you can't come crying later on saying, "Oh, Sabrina was moving mad the whole entire time." No, you were moving mad, because when you saw her moving mad, you didn't walk away. That's why I said to him, he wasted his time doing, I feel this way, I feel this way. And then when she now says what she says back, you double down and go, oh, my bad. You know what? Okay. You know what? I'm not saying I want to quit. I'm not saying I want to quit. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying move on. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you've seen something you don't like. You feel embarrassed. You feel like she played you. Move on. But when you're moving on now, you've now gone on Lips Precious already. You ain't even Lip Sabrina. That's my issue. So now
That's what I'm saying.
I don't believe the genuineness of you and Precious. I don't believe it,
That's
because you've gone extended yourself even further than what you did with Sabrina. Take your time, slow it down. Why are you in a rush for, baby? Relax. You know what I'm saying? Instead of talking about people's kidneys and stuff, why don't you relax and slow it down? Listen, I'm telling you now, yeah. Look, let me be honest with you. If Joy had said I'm open to Tory, he would have gone to Tory. He would have gone to Joy too. He's just that he's annoyed. He didn't get in there first, man.
Yeah, but also, like you just rightly said, he hasn't even kissed Sabrina. She hasn't licked his ear. There's been none of that between him and Sabrina. But there's been a connection established with Precious from weeks ago. It just hasn't been watered because he's been spending a lot of time on Sabrina, thinking he had a better connection with her, when obviously she feeling Demetrius more.
He
So
overestimated himself.
yeah, exactly. He overestimated the connection that they had. But like I said, now that the game's been played and that connection's been exposed as being deeper than what he has with her, yeah, he might go next week and start lipsing on Precious, but Precious is feeling it too. You don't see Precious sitting there going, no, 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 don't do that. You know?
So my question is, did he come for love or did he come for the game? Because if he came for love, then he's also got a problem too. You shifting from Sabrina straight to Precious and then lipsing her is also problematic. You see what I'm saying? If you came for the game, fine. Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, you moved from Sabrina, you moved to Precious. Hey, that's the game, what it is, baby. No one can say nothing. But if you said you're moving in because of the love situation and all of a sudden you jump onto Precious when I lips her too, I'm going to look at you like, well, then what are you really trying to achieve? You ain't no different than Sabrina, who you crying about. Do you know what I'm saying? The game
Right.
is the game. Number two, he knew Demetrius was his competition. You overestimated yourself because he told you in the deliberation, I also am interested in Sabrina. So why would you think your connection is better than his connection? Why would you think that? Do you know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, so long as I've not bought you and you've made me aware there's another man also chasing you, I'm not going to invest my whole heart and my whole weight in your area. I'm like, no, just in case this girl out here has got a connection, baby. Okay, let me not jump in. His reaction was too much. I'm not saying it was bad per se, but I'm saying in the gaming world where you are, it was too much. It was too much. If you're gonna stay there,
I
if you're
think
gonna
that
stay there, yes, sorry.
if he felt disrespected, then to kind of hang in there is detrimental. If it's your pride that has been bruised, and you back off from the woman that you actually feel like you have a future with, you're gonna lose her. Sorry, this is not the time to take your foot off the accelerator. This is not the
Yeah.
time to apply brakes. This is the time to apply pressure. So you have to decide, do you feel disrespected or is your ego bruised? And make your decisions from there.
I think another thing that we haven't discussed yet is, look, Precious has been trying to connect with Demetrius. So
Right. From the
when
beginning.
that whole lick the ear, kiss on the lips between Demetrius and Sabrina went down, Precious is in the same position. She's been trying to open up to Demetrius. She's been trying to go to him, like we said earlier, and say, you know, it's not the real me. You need to get to know me, and da-da-da-da-da. Not anymore. So she's out there on a whim as well, just like Tory is. So they're both going to bond over that too. Both of their connections, who they felt they had a strong connection with, wasn't as strong as they thought. So now they've got each other to console each other, as well as the bond that they established a few weeks ago. Just putting that out there.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, we've come to the end of our time. That was good time in there. It got interesting towards the end. I love that. We have to wait and see. Friday night is going to be an interesting night. So we're going to definitely be tuning in to find out exactly what happens. You know, because you're right. Maybe we saw a little kiss between himself and Precious. Maybe something's going to heat up, and we don't know what kind of conversation we're going to have next week. It's going to be really interesting to find out what happens between them. So, yeah, I can't wait for that episode to drop as well. So, before we go, obviously, let me get let people find out where they can follow you guys, because that you know you're here doing great work. So, JR, where can they find you, and how can they support you as well?
You can find, follow, and support me on Instagram at JRXTV, and also on at Real VIP Training.
Love that, JR. Thank you. Miss Lush, where can they find you?
Hey. You can find me on the one and only Instagram at Ms. Lush. Check out my content. I'm always posting latest projects, video shoots, stuff that I'm doing. So check me out.
Love that. Thank you very much, Ms. Lush. And Charlene?
You can follow me at Charlene, the Vocal Alchemist, on Instagram. And I'm always in the stories on Instagram. You can check out the link in my bio, see what I'm offering. And also you can check out my YouTube channel. I've got some new content planned. Oh, actually can't wait. So get on my channel, subscribe, and stay connected.
Love that. Thank you very much, Charlene. Audience members, thank you so much. We've had a good conversation. I know we've agreed and disagreed. I see some of the conversations in the chat has been fire. I love it. So listen, we'll be back here next Wednesday again, same time as always, 8 p.m. I guess for you guys, probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But listen, it's been amazing. It's been good. Listen, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And there's not much I wouldn't do. So be careful out there in the streets. Okay. All right. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay